She slammed her brakes and yelled, "This trash box is against HOA guidelines." Then she rolled over my mailbox. Again. I didn't say a word. I just stood there with my coffee, watching the tire marks on my lawn like it was some kind of ritual. She did this every Friday. Same time, same car, same smug look on her face. Karen lived 4 houses down. HOA board member. Self-appointed neighborhood inspector. But she treated the street like her private driveway. And for some reason, she hated my mailbox like it had insulted her dog. Last week I tried to put a concrete base under it. She called the HOA and claimed I was installing a hazard. The board sent me a warning notice. A fake one. No signature. Just typed in Comic Sans like a school project. I knew it was her. But today felt different. She wasn't yelling just to make a scene. She was smirking, like she was trying to push me, like she wanted me to snap so she could record it. She even pulled out her phone and waved it in the air. "You're violating Code 7.3 of the HOA, excessive mailbox size. Fix it or we'll fine you again." I took a slow sip of my coffee and said, "I'm sure the sheriff will love hearing about that." Again. Her face twitched. I didn't blink, because what she didn't know was this time I wasn't just fixing the mailbox. This time, I was setting a trap. That night I stayed up late in my garage, no lights on, just a single headlamp and the quiet hum of my tools. I had a plan. Not some prank, not a childish revenge, something better. Legal, solid, and unmissable. See, I used to work construction back before I got injured overseas. I knew how to make things last. So I dug out the leftover rebar from my shed, grabbed 6 bags of concrete, and reinforced a steel post I'd custom welded 2 years ago, back when this mess first started. I built the new mailbox from scratch. Same dimensions as a regular box, nothing oversized, but this one, it had a steel core that could stop a truck, painted it the same old color, weathered it just enough to look normal. By sunrise, it was in the ground, 4 feet deep, solid as a bunker. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't need to. I just sat back on my porch, coffee in hand again, and waited. Friday morning, 8:07 a.m. I heard her before I saw her. Karen's signature high-rev acceleration as she sped up our street like it was NASCAR. And there it was, her silver Lexus swerving just slightly into the edge of my lawn, heading straight for the mailbox. Thunk. The sound was beautiful. A clean, sharp crack, followed by the unmistakable crunch of plastic. Her passenger mirror exploded. Her front bumper bent like paper. The mailbox didn't move an inch. She slammed on the brakes and jumped out, screaming like she'd been mugged. "This is illegal. You set a trap. I'm calling the cops." I stood up slowly and walked toward her. Calm. Quiet. "That's the 3rd time you've driven onto my property, Karen." She held up her phone, trembling with fake outrage. "You'll be arrested for this. You'll see." I smiled. Actually, I already did see. Then I turned and pointed up. To the camera mounted under my porch roof. Red light blinking. "Oh, and by the way," I added, "the mailbox is HOA approved. Standard size, reinforced for safety." Her jaw dropped, but the real twist was still coming. Karen stormed back to her car, yanking open the door like she was about to tear it off the hinges. Her phone was glued to her ear. I could hear her yelling before she even shut it. "Get an officer down here now. He's setting up traps. My car is destroyed." I didn't flinch. I just leaned back against my porch rail and waited. She wanted a scene. Fine. I was ready. 15 minutes later, a squad car pulled up. Real police this time, not her usual trick of calling some fake private security with look-alike badges. She had tried that stunt before. I shut that down fast. The officer stepped out and looked around. I recognized him. Officer Daniels. Local. Fair guy. We'd spoken before when Karen tried to ticket my truck for being too loud. Karen came, flying out of her car like she was leading a protest. "Officer, arrest him. He installed a weapon in the ground." Daniels looked at her, then at me, then at the completely undamaged mailbox. His eyes paused on the camera above. "Ma'am," he said slowly, Did you drive onto his property again? No, I accidentally hit it. That thing wasn't there before. He installed it just to hit my car. Daniels turned to me. You got footage of this? I nodded. Pulled out my phone, played the clip. It showed everything, from her car swerving, to the exact moment her bumper met the mailbox, to her jumping out screaming like she was on a stage. Daniels watched silently, then handed my phone back. That mailbox isn't on the street, it's on his land, and it's legal. You crossed the property line. Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out, just a tiny gasp. Like reality finally tapped her on the shoulder. You can file a civil claim if you want, Daniels added. But this isn't a police matter, and I'd recommend you stop trespassing before it becomes one. Then he looked at me. Everything good, sir? Better than ever, I said. Karen stood frozen, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline, but she didn't leave. She was waiting, planning. I could see it in her eyes, and I knew she wasn't done yet. Because Karen? She had one more trick up her sleeve, and so did I. 2 days later, I got a letter taped to my front door. No envelope, no stamp, just a single sheet of paper typed in the same ridiculous font, Comic Sans again. It read, "Urgent notice. Due to multiple violations, your property is under HOA review. Remove the mailbox or face daily fines of $500. No signature, no official letterhead, no mention of which violations I'd supposedly committed." I laughed out loud. She wasn't even trying to hide it now. But I didn't tear it down. I didn't call anyone. I took a photo and walked right into my home office where I kept a folder labeled Karen Files. Inside, every fake notice she'd ever left, every voicemail, every photo of her car on my grass, and, most important, the signed letter from the real HOA president. See, here's what Karen didn't know. I'd already contacted the actual board a month ago, explained everything, showed them footage. Turns out they were fed up with her too. She wasn't even allowed to issue warnings on her own. I'd even met with James, the HOA president, in person. And that's when he told me the truth. She's not even on the board anymore, he'd said. We voted her out last year. Yeah, Karen was impersonating a board member, so I made one call. Not to the HOA, not to the police. I called my lawyer. Because impersonating a public authority, forging notices, and harassing a homeowner, that's more than petty drama. That's a crime. The next morning, I watched from my living room window as Karen walked confidently up to my mailbox with a tape measure in hand. She bent down, mumbling something to herself. And that's when the unmarked black SUV pulled into my driveway. 2 men stepped out. Not in uniform, but official. You could feel it. Karen froze. "Ma'am," one said, flashing a badge, "we need to speak with you about some documents you've been distributing." I stepped outside, coffee in hand, and for the first time since she moved in, Karen didn't say a word. Not one. They pulled her gently to the side, but I could still hear parts of the conversation. "Did you author these notices?" "Was just trying to maintain order." "Are you aware impersonating an HOA official is a felony in this state?" Her face turned white, not pale, white, like her soul just left the chat. The second man held up a small folder. My folder, the one I gave my lawyer, with timestamps, videos, voice messages, even the one where she left me a voicemail saying, "If the HOA won't do it, I will." I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just stood there, because that's what she hated the most, when I didn't react. When I didn't feed her fire. They asked her to come with them. No cuffs, no raised voices. Just a quiet escort to the black SUV. She didn't fight it. She didn't scream. She just looked back at me with that twisted mix of panic and confusion. Like she still couldn't understand how she'd lost. And as the SUV backed out of my driveway, I